Welcome to Souljourns and to Sai Baba and to the first-hand experiences of Doris Loel. You're in for a good time, and we hope you stick around for the next half hour.
I don't know if people think that God's this little man up in the sky somewhere. It's not like that. He is everything.
Doris is from Australia, and she's traveled to see Sai Baba in India 60 times for his lessons.
Like 3 times he taught me, you listen to the God within, not what your brain's telling you.
We first interviewed Doris and her husband Dennis 15 years ago. Doris shared then and now her most important Baba lessons over and over.
He is pure love. I just haven't got any doubt at all about Baba.
And I felt that if this man has done everything that Jesus has done, I want to be with him. I want to spend some time with him.
So what's the lesson here to you?
Well, he wants people to go within. He said, like, you've been to school, you've been to the university, you know, go within and work on the teaching.
Doris has been working on Sai Baba's teachings for decades, and today, at age 85, she's willing to share even more of her insights and experiences. Welcome to Souljourns. This interview was recorded in Australia and Coronado, California, on September 22nd, 2021. Doris Loel, welcome to Souljourns. It's such a pleasure to have you with us. You and Dennis, your husband, you've been all over the world of Sai Baba devotees. How are you doing? What brought you guys to Baba's side?
Well, the first time I saw Sai Baba was I'd seen a film by Arthur Hillcoat, and I went to see my mother in England, and on the way back, Dennis was fine about it. Arthur gave me the knowledge about his taxi driver, so I went on the way home. I had about 10 days in Bangalore in a hotel and got the taxi out to see Baba when he did the darshan, but there was no hall there then. There was no hall. He used to come out and walk across the ground and sit under this big tree, and there wouldn't have been any more than about 250 men and 250 ladies, so you were close no matter where you were. But yeah, I did that.
What were your first impressions of Baba when you saw him?
It was lovely. It was lovely. I didn't actually talk to him, but no, it was lovely. And then sometime after that, we joined a group leader, and she used to take us out there at Christmas time. And then after she gave up taking the groups, I started, and I took groups once, twice, for a couple of years. I took them 3 times a year, around about April time, and then about July, August, and then again for Christmas. Janice joined me then.
So how many years have you been going back and forth from Australia to India to see Baba?
Oh, since I saw him in the 80s first, but then after that, about 1991, thereabouts. Yeah, so I must have had about 60 trips altogether.
Well, that puts you right up there with the most serious Baba devotees anywhere in the world.
I was just very impressed with him in the body and all the teachings that he gave. And I'll forever be grateful for the way he taught me about God and everything. I heard him say once in a discourse, he said, I'm not sure if he said, I am God and you are all God, or whether God's in me and he's in all of you. You know, that's what he was saying anyway.
Yes.
And after a period of time of being with him, then I really understood what he was saying. You know, he really taught me.
Usually I ask a question like this towards the end of an interview. I want to ask it of you right up front. Could you tell me how Sai Baba has transformed your life?
Well, the first thing, I was at Cody Canal with the group. Most of the group had gone. There was just 5 of us left. I had a folder from the center that I attended to see if he'd bless it. But I was about 5 or 6 from the front, and I knew I didn't have any hope of holding it up. And I was a bit sad about that. And then from the inner level, I felt that he was saying, go ask the head Saibot to put you somewhere. My mind saying, oh, forget it. She's too busy. You know, she wouldn't want a bar of it, you know. But it was really insistent. And all of a sudden, it sounded like like from the inner level, go very strongly. So I thought, oh, so I got up and went and talked to her and explained, and she put me in the most perfect spot where he was going to walk along. And then I held it up and told him what I wanted. Could you please bless this for the centre? And then he said, how many? And I said 5. And he said, go. So we ended up in the interview room. But if I hadn't listened to my soul, to the God within me, it just wouldn't have happened.
So that's a key, isn't it? Knowing how to listen and intending to listen to the inside voice.
Well, he actually did that another twice. Once I was there, and I used to sit in the coordinator's line, but we used to line up at the back of the temple for that one. And I thought, just for once, I'll take the number, you know, like for the lines number.
Yes.
Which I didn't normally like doing. I used to get the group to do it. Anyway, I'm standing there waiting for the woman to come with the numbers, you know, to pick the numbers out. Yeah. And then on the inner level, I felt, go next to the lady, behind the lady next to you. And I'm still saying, no, I'm going to take the number. But I gave in and I stood behind her. She got number 1 and I was sitting right in the front. That was my last darshan that time. You know, if I hadn't listened again, it wouldn't have happened. I could have ended up way back in the lines. The third one was the best of all. I had a group there and there was about 15 of us, men and women. And I could get up, go for the interview, because I ended up by somebody asking me to move. I ended up to talk to him and he said, go. Anyway, when we got up on the veranda, he wouldn't take the men. He just told the men to go back and he just took us ladies in. Huh? And then about a couple of days later, we saw the men get up. So we thought, right, you know, must be another interview. So we got up and we're sitting on the veranda and us ladies are sitting there. Baba came up and stood in front of me and he looked down and he said, I've seen you before, go. And then he walked in. So he either went in the interview room or the temple, I'm not sure. Anyway, the ladies said, well, we better get up and go. We've just had, you know, we must be only taking the men this time. But I felt really strongly, no, that's not what's going to happen. And they're saying, we better go. And I thought, what am I doing? I just stayed. But he came out and told us to go in the interview room.
So what'd you do?
How did I ever have the nerve to do that? Because he did that to the twins once and they just left, you know. So that was like 3 times he taught me, you listen to the God within, not what your brain's telling you.
That's one of the most important lessons I think I've ever learned from him. But the older I get and the more I learn to pay attention to that inner voice that you know is real. Some people call it intuition. I call it Baba. I call it the God within, just like you do.
When I was up at Coronado once, I'm sitting there waiting to see darshan of him. And I got some words come into my head, and the words were, I am the wind that blows, I am the trees that sway, I am the sea, the sky, I am everything. I've never forgotten those words. I don't know if people think that God's this little man up in the sky somewhere. It's not like that. God is everything. Yeah, and I've always loved nature. I used to love going sitting under the trees when I was young and just sit there a bit and then go home again. But Baba knew your very thoughts, because when he gave me the first ring, that was some years back, in Australia, I said to my friends, if Baba ever makes me a ring, and he probably never will, it doesn't really matter, but if he ever does, I only want a little ring. I don't want one of those big things. So I was in the interview, Baba called me over. He said, I will make little ring, Swami knows. He gave me my words that I used in Australia. The year before that, I was in an interview with Murray, a friend of Moya. He used to live with Moya and Dorothy and Moya. And when Baba came to the door, he asked Murray to help him walk across the room. And I'm sitting there, because I used to be a nurse, and I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, I'd love to be able to do that. Right. Now, the following year, Murray wasn't with us, it was me and Moya. When Baba got to the door, he said to me, get up, for me to walk him. So I walked him into the inner interview room, and he sat in the chair and me and Moya had a lovely interview. And then he beckoned me to get up to help him to get up. And if I would have been in a rehabilitation ward, I would have said to him, put your hands on the chair, help yourself a bit. I thought, no, I better not do that. So I'm there to help him to get up out of the chair to walk back out. And then Moya thought, I'm not going to miss out on this time. So she jumped up as well on the other side. And when he got up and started to walk, she said to him, just stand for a minute and let the blood go down your legs. And he did. And I thought, well, I've never heard of anybody telling Baba what to do before, but he did, you know. So he knew that the previous year, he knew that I would love to have done that. So he granted that the following year. So that was really lovely.
That's a spectacular story. That really is a heartwarming story. Was this Baba was pretty old and had difficulty walking around before he had to use a wheelchair?
Yeah, that's before. I can't remember which year it was, but oh, and then there was another time when me and Moya got an interview on our own, and that was after that. And Moya said, "Can we sing an English bhajan to you, Swami?" And he said, "Yes." So we started to sing this bhajan that had been sung in our centre, in the sunshine and the shadow. And when we got to the end of the first verse and got to the chorus, he sang it with us. God is there by your side. Yeah, it was one that Moya really liked. Yeah, in the sunshine and in the shadow, in the bright morning light of your life, even when you see only moonbeams, know that God is there by your side. And then he started singing, God is there by your side, God is there by your side. So, you know, that was just lovely.
So Moya's idea was to see if it would be all right with Baba that you and Moya sang that song, sang him that bhajan, and then he joined in.
We sang that bhajan to him, but he just joined. We hadn't even got to the chorus, and as soon as we got to the chorus, he started singing it. Now, how could this little man in India that had never been to our centre before know the words of this, you know, the chorus of this? He knew it, you know.
Doris, how indeed. Don't tell me you don't know the answer to that.
I do know. He knows that he knew everything. And yeah, I mean, everything's God. He was God, and he really taught me to listen to your heart, to listen to the God within. But your mind gets in the way sometimes, you know.
Well, of course, I have to tell you this because it fits. I probably have mentioned it once or twice or 10 times previously, but going into an interview after he invited us in, I'm standing close to him because I want to take up every available moment I can to be by his side. And as he's ushering people to sit down, he turns to me and looks up to me. I'm 6'3", 6'2", and he said, "How is wife's left eye?" And I'm thinking, Baba, I didn't say this out loud, but I almost said it. Who told you that Jody had an operation on her left eye? And it's exactly the same feeling you had. It's wonderful when it happens to you that he gives you that solid information that he knows your thoughts and knows everything.
There was another little thing. I'm sitting in the front with a friend in the coordinator's line, and Baba was about to come in, you know, because we were sitting near the gate. And I said to my friend, I wish he'd turn the window down sometimes, you know, because we just get that much better darshan than seeing him through the glass. You wouldn't believe it. He comes through the gate, the window went down, and then about 6 people afterwards, up it went again. I mean, so he knew everything. No doubt about that. I mean, people might say that's a coincidence, but it's a pretty big coincidence, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, those are all good lessons for all of us. Now, you mentioned Moya and her sister Dorothy, the world famous pink twins, because they always dressed in pink, never got married, were very, very righteous Catholics their whole lives. And tell me if I'm wrong with this. I believe they learned about Sai Baba from their mother, who was a Baba devotee. Is that correct?
Yeah, their mother heard about him first, and she was impressed. And then the twins, you know, they did the same thing. And they went to India with the group leader and just went from there,
Well, when I
But-
met them because of you, they were already into their 70s, if not older. So how old was her mother at that time?
Well, their mother knew about Baba, but she'd never gone. I mean, this
Okay.
is years back, and she'd never gone to see him or anything. And I'm not sure now how she heard about him. I can't remember what the twins said.
Well, they
But,
were the sweetest women, twins I think I've ever met in my life. I know so. I might even include a little clip here of them so people can see and enjoy them as much as you and Dennis and Jody and I have enjoyed them over the years.
Yes, Baba says he is everything, he is nature, and we are part of nature too. He said, you are part of the most distant star and the least little blade of grass. You swing from star to star, you shine as dewdrops on the petal of a rose. You are part and parcel of all this manifestation, which is me.
Ted, I do want to tell you how beautiful Baba is and how joyful we are to know him and to be his friend and to be in his presence.
They are affectionately known as the Pink Twins, Moya and Dorothy O'Brien, identical twins from Australia and longtime followers of Indian holy man Sri Satya Sai Baba. Dorothy O'Brien died in 2004. And since then, Dorothy's sister, Moya, has also passed away. Both of them to be with their Baba. How did you meet them, and how did you come about really being their guides, their mentors, bringing them to see Baba year after year?
spiritual one out of the two. I loved them both, don't get me wrong. Dorothy was quiet. She used to have the microphone took off her many times by Moya. Dorothy was the one that really had the most spirituality, I think. She was very quiet. She was the one that started Swara while Moya still worked for a bit longer for the handicapped people. Dorothy was the one that started that. And no, they were just beautiful.
That was a facility to help handicapped people. That was
Yes, it's still going now. But when Dorothy started it, it was all run on purely donations.
Now, accompanying you always, well, I guess always, was your wonderful husband and friend of ours, Dennis Loel. He's a bit under the weather, and we wish him well. And we know how much you love him and how much he loves you. Since he's not here to speak for himself, tell us a little bit about Dennis and how he was always there to lend a hand to absolutely anybody who ever needed it.
Yes, and he's still like that, even in the nursing home. He can't say anything, but the minute he sees somebody that needs a chair or anything like that, I think he thinks he's working there, because he's still prepared to help people.
Yeah.
But he was wonderful. He never minded when I took the groups. He'd stay at home and he'd carry on with his job. He'd come over at Christmas. He wouldn't miss that few weeks. But when I went, like maybe March, April or July, he didn't come then. He just allowed me to sort of do the service,
Were you ever there for a prolonged period of time, or basically like most of us from America who would go for 7 to 10 to 11, 12 days maybe?
Well, if we went March, April time, that was when Baba would go to Whitefield, and we'd stay in a guest house and go across the road to the darshan. So that's when they put the hall up, and the hall was there. I'd go for a couple of weeks then. And then again, to put a party was around about July, August for another couple of weeks. And that was pretty hot then. And then Christmas time, we'd go for about 7 weeks. Dennis would come with me, so we spent a lot of time in India, and I would love to go back, but unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen now.
So you got to spend some really good quality time. And can you remember anything else out of the ordinary that you learned, experienced, gained, loved about being in Prashanti Nilayam or Vrindavan with Baba?
The first time I ever went, I stayed in the hotel in Bangalore, And I was worried about eating anything. If I got sick, who's going to look after me? You know, I lived that whole time on bananas, 2 bananas from the breakfast, 2 at lunchtime and 2 at night, and bottled water. And I didn't get sick, but I was a bit fed up when I got home. I hadn't even lost any weight. So when I took groups, and because I used to be a nurse as well, I used to always take a thermometer with me and, you know, make sure that people were aware of what you can do and what you can't do to keep yourself healthy. You know, I used to ask them to take some antibiotics with them in case they got sick, you know. So, you know, I just used to love doing the service. I never ever got paid for it, but that wasn't, you know, that didn't matter. You know, I just like.
Well, Doris, the nurse always knows best, but the doctor knows even more. Would a doctor approve of a diet of just bananas and water in India?
Well, that's all I had. What would I have done in Bangalore if I would have got sick? There was nobody there to help me. You know, no, I did. So I know they're good for you, you know, so not a problem. It's the liquid that really keeps you going more than the food anyway.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I always used to ask people a final question. In this case, Baba's been gone from his physical body since the year 2011, but I still want to ask it in present tense of you, Doris. Would you describe to us, just from your heart, who is Sai Baba?
Well, he's God, like we're all God. You are, I am, we are all God, but he was put on the earth the same as like Jesus and these other saints to do what he did, you know, to give people all these teachings and try and guide them, or do his best to guide them on the right pathway, you know.
Well, when I first wrote you, Jody suggested that I do an interview with Doris, and I said I'd be happy to do it. And I'm so happy that you said you'd be happy to do it. And then when I asked you what would be some of the subjects I could ask you about, you only gave a list of 2 or 3 things. And I thought, I'll bet you she has more stories to share. And sure enough, you have some wonderful extra stories to share. So before we say goodbye to one another, is there anything else that's still lurking in your consciousness that you haven't told us yet?
I'll always treasure those trips to India and all the lovely people I took, and you know, Baba himself, and everything. The most important thing was the teachings that he gave, you know, and just had some wonderful times there. But I was very happy with those times that I did obey the God within, and not my head, my head saying, no, you can't do that, you know, you'll get into trouble. But God inside saying, no, you do what I'm telling you, you know.
And one last request. You've raised your hand now a couple of times to your forehead, and we could see a ring. Is that the ring that Baba made for you? So that's the ring that you were talking about that Baba made for you.
That was the one that he said, the small one.
Hold that one up too then. There we go. So that's the small one, and that's the green one. And yeah. Dennis has one just like the green one.
The green one. It was his 60th birthday, and we're sitting at, must have been at Whitefield. Yeah, we were at Whitefield, and we were sitting at in the interview room. And I said to Baba, his husband's 60th birthday, Swami. So we called Dennis over and made him the ring, which he's still got on now. He never takes it off.
Doris, this has been just a wonderful time. I'm glad I caught you at 85. We'll have to make another appointment for when you turn 90.
I told my family I'm going to jump out of the plane when I'm 90. You know, when they do on the parish with the parachute, and they just laughed. They said, "Yeah, okay, we'll pay for that." You know. So.
Well, I wouldn't put anything past you because I know you have somebody carrying you safely in his arms.
Well, look, in my head, I'm still 21. I'm lucky enough to be able to still chase around. But unfortunately, my body doesn't agree with me. You know, my body doesn't agree with me. I would love to come. I've been to America to you twice, but
also to see us when we lived in Ohio and Cleveland. Yes.
Yeah. But also we've been there to like Hollywood and to San Francisco. We've been there before, and I would love to come back. But unless I had a huge insurance policy. Or had somebody with me. No.
Doris, I want you to do one final thing, and that won't be right now, it'll be later. Please give Dennis a kiss and a hug from Jody and from me, and let him know that we love him. We love you and all our great friends from Sai Baba's ashrams whom we've met over the decades. Many thanks for you agreeing to sit and do this. I know it wasn't easy. It was your first time ever on Zoom and first interview. And I just want to tell you, you get an A+. You did a wonderful job. Thank you.
Yeah, no, but see, this is lovely because it's refreshing all the memories back. You know, it's bringing all these beautiful memories back, you know.
Yeah.
I'll always be grateful for the times that I went there. You know?
Yes, and I am too.
And meeting you and all these other lovely people.
Doris and Dennis have been great friends of ours for decades, both in India and having visited us in America, in our home in Cleveland, Ohio.
And the nice thing about this is seeing you two again and talking to you. You know, it's lovely. I really loved it.
Yeah, it was really good. And I'm glad Jody had a chance to say hello as well.
Yeah, no, it's been lovely. Thank you very much for giving me the chance to see you both again and talk to you and relive all these beautiful memories that I've got. Thank you.
Thank you. Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Doris Loel.